As the Atom, Ray Palmer proved time after time that the old cliché is true. Big things come in small packages. Adam had a colossal brain and a right hook to match. His decision to retire hit just as hard. Glad you're okay, but where have you been, old friend?
I'll explain everything.
Welcome back to the podcast. It took over half a decade and more than 600 episodes, but we're finally on the eve of actually covering our titular series, Power of the Atom. I just want to thank everyone for following the podcast on this long journey. We've finally run out of all the Captain Atom and Charlton material I intend to cover, so you'll excuse the necessary shift in format to only following Atom stories for the time being. Like you, I enjoyed alternating features, but we've just plumb run out of other options. 6 years of continuous, uninterrupted podcasting will do that to you. The secret origin of the Atom is by the debuting new creative team of Roger Stern, Dwayne Turner, and K.S. Wilson. The lead story in the August 1988 cover-dated Secret Origins number 29 served as a soft launch of the post-crisis Atom. We pick up where we left off in the Sword of the Atom miniseries and specials, with Ray trapped at 6-inch size in the Amazon jungle. By the least convincing coincidence in human history, the Atom happened upon an alien kingdom made up exclusively of yellow-skinned, but otherwise perfectly humanoid race of exactly the same relative dimensions. And we know they're anatomically correct because Ray has been serving as consort and protector of Princess Lathwin, with both jobs clearly involving sword wielding. The kingdom of Morlade is stuck in barbarian times, so Ray Palmer will have to cut a bee just to get by. Ray's in that big chill phase of his life, so he gets all Richard Dreyfuss and Stand By Me, recalling pivotal moments in his childhood. His passion for science and adventure were both sparked by his reading the famous Edgar Rice Burroughs' Carson of Mars, and the obscure yet highly relevant Gardner F. Fox Alan Morgan series of books. Ray's parents supported his love of exploration. Even when his daddy died young, his surrogate father was famed archaeologist Ted Ralston. Ray's barbarian buddy Voss finds a bit of the white dwarf matter from the alien starship that theoretically shrank his race. The Atom performs a feat of strength in picking up the rock through density control or something. I gotta be honest, even this early on I'm starting to tune out the story. Ray gets it back to his makeshift lab and embiggens the rock, assuring himself that he could grow himself and potentially even Morlade to regular human size. This causes him to think back to the first episode of this podcast, but with worse writing and art. There's a few unnecessary tweaks that grate, plus we keep seeing the neophyte artist go back to the same basic, static layout of Atom recounting his origin to Lathwin and Voss. Ray reminds everyone that he never became a superhero to help people, but just to clear away an obstacle in talking his girlfriend Jean Loring into finally marrying him instead of focusing on her law career. He's self-aware enough to recognize the fallacy of their yuppie, I can have it all ambition, but not enough to realize that he still treats women like prizes to be won. Let's be honest, this whole reverie is because he's getting bored with going native among the yellow skins in a jungle, which gives me 80s media flashbacks of non-flashbacks. Also, the Atom got off on the superhero action more than his eventual wife, which is why he deuced on her the minute she was found in the arms of the other man Ray's neglect drove her to in the first place. The whole Conan shtick was his divorced dad midlife crisis. While the Atom continues to tell the two people who will listen all about how awesome he was in the Justice League of America, presumably in the voice of Daniel Stern, a bunch of aliens indistinguishable from the ones Atom hangs with attacks. Because they're on the opposing side, Atom still regards them as savages and stabs them in the neck. Seriously, the sword of the Atom aims for the jugular again and again on panel, almost as if he has no regard for these people's lives. At least not until there's a pile of gross bodies that he asks his yellow people to clean up for him. Former superhero, yes. Good guy, nah, not so much. Unless you're using the term euphemistically. The story ends with Ray paternalistically weighing the fate of Morlade and deciding that everyone can stay shrunk until he decides otherwise. They're not entirely believing his stories, and he's not offering them a choice anyway. At least the hypersexualized Lathwin offers his sword a scabbard, so to speak. This is not the end. Watch for the further adventures of the Atom in an all-new series, on sale next week. DC pushed the new series pretty hard in house ads, trade magazines, and store posts so they compared it to its recent successful reinventions of Superman by John Byrne, The Flash by Baron and Geis, Wonder Woman by George Perez, and The Justice League by Giffen, DeMatteis, and McGuire. Boy, I'm sure that direct comparison to Watershed Books will not end up biting the Tiny Titan's little red butt.
Palmer!
Thanks again for support going out to Adam Blackmoon, Alan Middleton, Dr. Ange, Anthony Durso, Chris Lydon, Cindy Womack, Comic Buzz, Count Druncula, Darren and Ruth Sutherland, David Fiore, Doc Strange, Dr. G. Dermatologist, Doug Zawisha, Ed Moore Jr., Eternal Rage, Fantastiverse, Firestorm Fan, Green Lantern HG, I'll Be the Light in the Dark, Illegal Machine, Iowa's Joe Crawford, Jacob Edwards, Jeffrey Brown, They Them, Keith G. Baker, King Size Comics Giant Size Fun Podcast, Cord Industries, Kyle Benning, Odyssey Unleashed, Oscar Olalde, Patrick Contagion, Professor Riptide, Rover and Odell Abner Dracula, Siskoid, Tom Panarese, Trekker Talk, Vera Thoris of Mars, and Wonder Woman Warrior for Peace Podcast. The preceding Atom-related program is a non-profit fan production. Any copyrighted materials contained therein are believed borrowed under fair use with no copyright infringement intended. Please feel free to leave comments either on the Power of the Atom blog or at Rolled Spines Productions WordPress blog. You can also send us Twitter comments through Commander Blanks, my personal account, or through the Rolled Spine Podcast Twitter. Thank you for listening.